How did the game of death become the foe of people's lives? Why is death killing people in this film? What wrong did these people do that death took them in its grip? Let's find out. The movie begins in 1968, where we see a couple named Paul and Iris. To surprise Iris, Paul brings her to a new restaurant in the city called Sky Tower. Seeing this, Iris becomes very joyful. And for the promotion of this restaurant, a photo is taken where we see a child in the background who was the son of a singer at the party, and his name was William. After this, Paul and Iris enter the restaurant, whose floor was entirely made of glass, and a live kitchen was set up in the middle where the chef was cooking. The mood was very pleasant. Everyone was enjoying the party so much that meanwhile, Iris takes out a rose and puts it in Paul's jacket pocket. But because of the thorn, Paul's hand gets cut, and seeing the blood drip from his finger, Iris starts feeling sick. Seeing her state, the singer quietly asks her, "Are you pregnant?" Hearing this, Iris is surprised, but then realizes she might be pregnant. After learning this, joy spreads on her face, and she decides to tell Paul. Then as soon as Iris returns to the party, Paul takes her to the terrace and proposes, and Iris says yes to him and tells him she's pregnant, which fills Paul with boundless happiness. Then we see the child who throws a coin down from the terrace, but instead of falling, it gets stuck in a duct. Here the party continues in the restaurant. People are dancing, but slowly. A slight shake in the glass floor starts. Meanwhile, the coin moves forward in the AC pipe. Then suddenly the floor breaks and many people fall down. To save himself, Paul grabs a piece of broken glass, but his hands and legs get cut, causing him to fall and die. But Iris somehow survives while this coin still travels in such ducts and then gets stuck in a gas pipe, which starts a fire in the restaurant, and in this fire the singer burns to death. Seeing the fire spread, Iris hides under the piano and then reaches the lift, but the lift was already full. Due to the imbalance, the lift crashes and all the people inside die. Seeing this, Iris runs back upstairs in the restaurant, but is shocked to see half the restaurant tilting to one side, and people are desperately trying to save themselves. The piano under which Iris was hiding now balances the whole structure. Then the coin comes out of the duct and falls directly on this piano, and due to the imbalance, half the restaurant collapses and many people die. In the next scene, we see Iris with the singer's son, William, whom she tries to save, but then the floor starts collapsing again. Here, Iris makes a support by tying her ring between two chains, but her hand slips and Iris and William fall and die. Then we hear a girl screaming, and here we learn. All this was actually happening in Stefani's hallucination. Due to her screaming, all the students in the classroom get disturbed. When the professor asks, she says she often has such hallucinations and scary visions. When Stefani sleeps at night, she has another scary dream and wakes up in fear. Here, Stefani's roommate suggests she talk to her family about this. And the next day, Stefani goes to her uncle's house to meet her father and younger brother. Then she and her brother go to their uncle's house, who was their mom's brother. Actually, Stefani was very close to her cousins. Everyone here has a lot of fun when Stefani asks her uncle about Iris. Yes, the same Iris who appears in her dreams repeatedly. She was Stefani's grandmother, but as soon as she hears Iris's name, her uncle gets angry and says, "Your grandmother is dead to us. She went mad and lived on an island. After that, she never came to meet us. And because of her, your mother was also mentally ill, left us saying this, they leave." Then Stefani's aunt secretly gives her an address and a photo of a letter. This was the same photo taken in front of Paul in Iris's Sky Tower restaurant. When Stefani sees this place, she remembers she has seen it. To learn the truth, she decides to go to the island where Iris lived. Stefani arrives there and says her name first. Hearing this name, Iris gets emotional and invites her inside and asks Stefani about her mother. Stefani tells Iris her mother left her in childhood. Then she tells Iris about her dream and says she sees the Sky Tower restaurant every day, in which she sees the death of her grandfather, Paul. Hearing this, Iris is surprised and tells Stefani, "The visions you have used to come to me before. And because of those visions, I stopped a big accident that day. That day I took the coin from that kid's hand and warned people on the mic that the floor would break, so people left in time. In this way, many were saved from dying." Hearing this, Stefani is shocked and asks Iris, "Did you save everyone?" Iris says, "Yes, that day I tricked death and saved everyone." But death kept chasing them and kept hunting and killing them. Even the children born after that incident had to face this game of death. Similarly, Paul was killed by this game of death, and then I realized my turn was next. That's why I came here and hid, because if I die, death will kill you and your brother too. But as long as I'm alive, nothing will happen. Then Stefani asks Iris why these visions come to her. Iris replies, "Death is now after us." Hearing this, Stefani gets very scared. Then Iris gives her a book and explains how people were killed and how they can be saved. All this was in the book, but Stefani doesn't believe her and says she'll come back later and leaves. Seeing this, Iris decides to face death to save her children, and after many years, steps out of her cabin for the first time. She had been hiding in the cabin for years, so death couldn't find her. Then she gives the book to Stefani and says, "Death will come now, and to save yourself, you'll need this book." But Stefani still doesn't believe her. So Iris says to make her believe, "Watch how I die now." Then a gas leak starts and things begin falling here and there. A chain hits Iris and tears her throat, and Iris dies. Now Stefani sees everything is true. Suddenly she remembers it's her mother's turn now. To save her, she decides to read Iris's book, and when she opens it, the same coin Iris used to stop the accident is hidden inside. She quickly calls her family and tries to warn them, but no one answers because her whole family was busy at a party. Then strange things start happening there. One glass breaks and its piece falls into the ice bucket. When Stefani's uncle picks up the ice, a glass piece falls into his glass, which he sets aside. Other objects also start moving as if all this is planned. Here, a tool falls from Stefani's uncle's hand and gets stuck in his foot due to the pain. As he falls to the ground, a vibration happens and a tool suddenly falls on the lawnmower, starting it, and it crashes into Stefani's uncle's face and kills him. Seeing this terrifying scene, everyone at home gets very scared. Then Stefani explains how death is after them. She says the people saved in the Sky Tower restaurant incident were later taken by death, and now it's after their future generations. If Stefani's mother dies, then Stefani is next. Then her uncle and his children will face this game too. But no family member believes her except her mom. Stefani had no connection with them and didn't talk to them. Then she asks her cousin Eric to meet at his piercing shop where he wore a nose ring. After finishing his work, he leaves when suddenly a fan with a magnetic chain starts and the chain gets stuck in his nose ring. Nearby kerosene spills and a fire starts. Though Eric frees himself from the chain, he falls into the fire. When Stefani learns of this, she heads to his shop with her brother, because she knew Eric was her uncle's son and his death was certain. But she finds Eric on the way. Surprisingly, despite such a big incident, he was only injured on his arm. Now as Stefani talks to him, a fast truck comes and hits him, but still Eric isn't harmed. Stefani finds this very odd. Then Eric smiles and says, "I told you nothing will happen to me." But Stefani is still scared, so she looks around to see what could harm Eric. Meanwhile, a garbage truck passes by, and Stefani tells Eric to stay away from it. But he hugs the truck and nothing happens. Then Eric's sister starts walking. Suddenly her foot hits a ball and garbage falls into a basket. The truck driver quickly puts this garbage in his truck and drives away. Stefani climbs onto the truck without thinking to save her cousin. But by the time she reaches the truck's crushing system is already on. Before Stefani's eyes, her cousin's body breaks into pieces. Only her hand remains in Stefani's hand. Because of her death, the family's very upset. Stefani feels instead of Eric's sister, her older brother Eric should have died. Then Stefani's aunt reveals a big truth. She says Eric isn't Stefani's uncle's real son. That's why he didn't die, but his sister, who was his biological daughter, died. Hearing this, Stefani is shocked, and the family starts believing her. At the same time, Eric's younger brother Bobby fears for his life and asks Stefani for help. Then Stefani takes him to meet someone who survived the Sky Tower incident and later fooled death. After a short trip, they reach that person and call him Jeb. Hearing this, Jeb is shocked because only Iris called him that. Then Stefani asks Jeb, "How do you know Iris?" He says, "That day I was at the same party where my mother was a singer." Hearing this, Stefani recalls her vision and recognizes the little boy was Jeb. Later, Jeb tells Stefani that years ago Iris came to me to stop Paul's death, but despite countless tries, we couldn't save her. Hearing this, Stefani asks, "Is anyone still alive?" He replies, "Yes, 2 people." Now Stefani asks Jeb for help, but he refuses because he already cheated death once and can't do it again. Then Stefani's cousin gets an idea and tries giving Bobby a peanut to bring him close to death because he was allergic to peanuts, and when death comes to take him, they'll give him anti-allergy medicine to bring him back. This way he can cheat death and death will leave him. But as he goes to the vending machine, it stops working, and in a rush, a ring from the vending machine gets lost. Then Eric leaves Bobby in a room to get an anti-allergy injection. On his way, he hits a wall and accidentally presses buttons, starting a nearby MRI machine. Meanwhile, when Eric returns to the room, he feeds Bobby a peanut chocolate. But at the same time, the MRI's magnetic field activates, and Eric, who had piercings, gets pulled toward it. Here, Bobby, who ate the chocolate, somehow injects himself and saves his life. But then the spring from the vending machine gets stuck, and Bobby dies there. Now Stefani fears for her mother's life, so she tells her to go to her grandmother's house because Iris was safe there for years. During this, she picks up her book, but a coin falls from it, which an old woman later finds. As soon as Stefani sends her mother and younger brother into the house, a fire starts, and a strong blast makes Stefani's car fall into water. Meanwhile, a tower is about to collapse. Stefani's brother learns it's his sister's turn, so he jumps into the water and pulls her out, where Stefani nearly drowned and died. But through CPR, Stefani's breath returns, meaning she defeated death. Then we see a scene years later on Stefani's birthday. On the other hand, we see the same old woman with the coin. Suddenly, the coin slips from her purse and gets stuck on a railway track. Here, Stefani's brother's friend, a doctor, comes to meet him and says he's very lucky to have survived. If a person doesn't breathe for 5 minutes, they're clinically dead. Hearing this, Stefani and her brother look at each other in fear when Stefani hears a train approaching. Both siblings run quickly, but it's too late. Pieces of the coin fly and stab their bodies, and both die here. And with this scary scene, the movie ends.